Some crazy things happening in the world right now. A man proposed to his girlfriend with a tornado swirling in the background. Rockstar changed the appearance of a character from the GTA 6 trailer after a Florida man claimed it was him and asked for money. AI can now guess passwords with 93% accuracy just by listening to the sounds of your keyboard keystrokes over Zoom.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here to the channel, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry, I'm gonna break it down for you guys, man. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, from YouTube videos to TikTok videos, IG reels, Facebook, anything weird, unusual, unexplained, you can find right here on this channel. Just want to thank all my supporters, man. It's coming back to the channel each and every single day, watching the videos entirely. Greatly appreciate the support. Found this video for you guys today, man. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say it with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth. That's dangerous.
First of all, these waves are screaming to you to not come in. And then to put your child in that situation and to record it.
Do you have any idea how rare your body is? 0.007% of people are born with 6 fingers or 6 toes. 2% of people have a longer second toe than their big toe. 10% of people have a ring finger that's longer than their index finger, usually due to higher exposure to testosterone during their fetal development. 10% of people have an extra spleen, and some people have up to 5 extra spleens? What? 25% of people have the thumb joint that bends backwards. I don't know if that counts or not, but I can do that. Wee woo, wee woo. 1 in 10,000 people are born with their organs on the opposite side of their body. 35% of people can gleek, but only 1% of people can do it on command. 11% of people have a small bump on the edge of their upper ear. 0.5% of people have eyes that have one color in the center and another around the edge. 9% of people have a gap between their 2 front teeth. I think I'm good. 5% of people have a double crown on their scalp where the hair swirls in 2 directions instead of 1.
These are the beauty standards from around the world, part 1. These women are from the Apatani tribe in India. Now, when a girl reaches the age of 10 in their culture, round plugs are inserted into the sides of their nose and black lines are permanently tattooed on their face. They were known as the most beautiful women of all the local tribes. But because of this, the men in the other tribes began committing horrific crimes. They began kidnapping these girls of the tribe never to be seen again. So to make the women less attractive and hopefully avoid being abducted, they made the nose plugs 5 times bigger than before. But eventually this became an important part of their culture, and became a sign of beauty and belonging instead. Unfortunately, the government ended up banning these practices, and now they are no longer followed by the youngest generation.
That's crazy, man. They did that tradition to show beauty and strength, and the man from the other tribe took it way too far, and it became like the opposite to protect them. It's crazy, man. But you know, different cultures do different things, so that's why you always gotta expose yourself to different cultures, man. Try to learn as much as you can.
Today we're talking about the Jaws movie animatronics and how huge they are, and how gross and terrifying they also are. So this was a little drawing schematic that was put out for the Jaws movie, and like how they were filming it, and like look up here, that's what it looked like underwater. This disgusting, look, there were 2 people in the water in scuba suits with cameras to film them. This would be $1 million a day job for me to hold down. I could not. This is really icky. Not that icky because it's not in the water yet, but these hydraulics that I know are gonna go in the water, yay. Why is bro booping his snoot like it's a cute little puppy? That is not a puppy, that is terror. Also, why would you do this? Why would you get in the mouth of an animatronic shark? This is fake for TikTok. This is fake. It's a fake shark. Do not do this at home. Why would you do this in the first place? Is that Steven Spielberg? I don't know what he looked like in the 70s. This is icky. This is an icky photo. I don't like this at all. I showed this one in the video yesterday of how big it is in comparison to a human. That is also from the video yesterday talking about the animatronic and Japan. You know what this reminds me of? This picture of the animatronic shark? It reminds me of the shark, robot shark from James and the Giant Peach. Does anyone remember this?
No.
I was terrified of this at 3 years old. So yeah, could you work on the Jaws ride movie if we were to go back in time? I bet not.
Nah, not for me. I mean, Drusilla's like, man, getting in that animatronic. I don't care if that was
hate all you
fate.
want, but this right here is the peak male form. The end game of evolution and natural selection's strongest soldier is the Proboscis monkey, and it is the most interesting monkey in the world. Chances are, you've never seen one in a zoo. I think it's so the simian sex symbol doesn't destroy every man's body image. I also believe the facial flesh sac amplifies their calls. Go ahead, look up the sound Proboscis monkeys make. It's not what you think. As you can see, the monk with the trunk is built different. Breaking down all those leaves is why the Nariz warrior has a pot belly. Also, their nickname is Orang Balanda, which is a Malay word for Dutchman. Jury's on who exactly should be offended. They also have webbed feet, and that's cause not only are they arboreal, the Sinus soldier can swim. One of the underappreciated rough drafts of nature, and one of the many you can see on National Geographic's Underdogs, a show about animals that don't get talked about nearly enough. And you can catch him and that beak on Underdog, streaming now on Disney Plus and Hulu. The more you know.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
I never want to see it, ever.
Babies who were born on the literal perfect day. Back in 2019, a baby girl was born on July 11th, making the date 7/11. Well, the baby was also born at 7:11 p.m., and the baby also weighed 7 pounds and 11 ounces. From this, the convenience store 7-Eleven saw this and gave the baby $7,111, making this baby the most 7-Eleven baby in history. Next, in 2022, this baby girl was born at one of the craziest times possible because she was born on February 22nd, 2022, which is 2/22/2022. But she was also born at 2:22 a.m. and she weighed 7 pounds and 10 ounces, which makes her a total 122 total ounces. And I can't forget that she was born in room number 2 of the hospital. This is absolutely wild.
The baby at the end of 28 years later is completely immune to the rage virus. If you haven't seen the movie yet, I suggest you click off. So when Spike and his mom are in the train, they all of a sudden run across an infected, who seemed to be more normal than not. She was actually holding Isla's hands as she was giving birth, and ends up giving birth to a baby. The mother then completely turns, she ends up getting unalived, and Spike and his mom run out of the train, with of course said baby. Now here's why I think the baby's completely immune. It's because we've seen immunity in this series before. A lot of people like to say that 28 weeks later has nothing to do with the premise of the story, because it's different characters and in a different time frame. Why were some of the clips from 28 weeks later used in 28 years later? If that were the case, this would completely add up perfectly, because how could we add something new to an already zombie movie? People who are immune. Spike of course then names the baby Isla after his mother, who ends up passing away, and leaving her back where Spike ended up growing up, with of course his dad. Now this is just my theory, because even the doctor said, oh, the placenta must have been able to keep her away from the rage virus. But like I've said, we've seen this before. We've seen people be infected and not be infected, who have been bit by the same exact zombie. Take it the whole family from 28 weeks later minus the dad. I'm just saying, this would be a crazy setup.
I mean, I've been hearing some reviews about 28 Days Later. People were saying like the ending, they didn't like it. They said it felt like a Power Rangers movie or something like that. So yeah, I know VC because I don't be checking out scary movies like that. But if any of you guys saw it, man, drop a review down below. Yeah, I believe the immunity thing happened.
This elephant killed a woman and then crashed her funeral. In 2022, 70-year-old Maya Murmur was gathering water near her home in India. It was supposed to be a routine task, but that morning, a herd of wild elephants emerged from the nearby forest. Most villagers know to keep their distance. Maya tried to flee, but one elephant broke away from the group, chased her down, and trampled her with brutal force. She died at the scene. Her grieving family arranged a funeral later that day. As is custom, Maya's body was placed atop a wooden pyre for cremation. a solemn ritual under the open sky. But then, thunderous footsteps echoed in the distance. The same elephant had returned, and this time it brought reinforcements. A stampede of elephants crashed into the village mid-funeral, sending terrified relatives running for cover. In a scene that defied any logic, the very elephant that had killed Maya pulled her lifeless body from the pyre and trampled her a second time. Her remains were left mangled, and the ceremony was left in ruin. This elephant must have had some personal issues with Maya, and this death is just extremely unfortunate.
Pictures you have to look at twice to understand. This toothpaste looks like a nose. Yeah, I wouldn't use that. This person's fried egg ended up looking like a chickadee. Whoa. This girl looks like she has extremely skinny legs, but it's actually just her track pants. This magazine cover looks like this woman's face. Oof. It looks as if these people are on a really tall building, but if you turn the image sideways, they're actually just lying down. By the way, did you know you can customize the font on your phone to make it look like your handwriting? Just press this button on my profile and try it. Why do these steaks look like my runners? Now that's what you call fast food.
Really? That joke?
We have some crazy things happening in the world right now. Kim Jong-un watched as North Korea's newest warship literally fell off the dock. A man proposed to his girlfriend with a tornado swirling in the background. Nvidia is attempting to create an entire digital twin of the Earth. Rockstar changed the appearance of a character from the GTA 6 trailer after a Florida man claimed it was him and asked for money. AI can now guess passwords with 93% accuracy just by listening to the sounds of your keyboard keystrokes over Zoom.
That's terrifying.
Can you guess that? Russian scientists thawed out 300 worms from Siberian permafrost, and 2 of them that are both over 30,000 years old came back to life. Don't think that's gonna end well for us. This is the world's last known white giraffe, and he is being tracked by a GPS after his female counterpart and calf were taken out by poachers.
Man, the thing that got to me was the AI, bro. They can literally crack the passwords now just by hearing.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Episode 20. Number 1. Coffin births. This is a rare phenomenon that is scientifically known as post-mortem fetal extrusion. It occurs when a pregnant woman dies and her body expels the fetus. The gases in the abdomen builds up and then forces the stillborn fetus out. Number 2. Jeannie, the feral child. Discovered in 1970, Jeannie was a girl who had been kept isolated by her family in Los Angeles for over a decade. She was almost entirely mute and had barely any exposure to human interaction or the outside world. Number 3. The Green Children of Woolpit. In the 12th century, 2 children with green-tinted skin appeared in the village of Woolpit in England. They spoke an unknown language and only ate raw beans. Eventually, their skin lost its green color and they adapted to normal food. The origin of these children still remains a mystery. Number 4. The Hinterkaifeck murders. In 1922, an entire family was mysteriously murdered at their farm in Germany. Reports found footsteps leading to their farm, but not away. This case was never solved. Number 6. The Devil's Kettle. In Minnesota, United States, there is a waterfall that splits into 2. One side flowing into a river and the other side vanishing into a hole. Scientists still don't know where that water goes. Number 7. NASA would never release information about asteroids approaching Earth. Not because they're worried about us freaking out. It's because we don't have the technology to detect if there are asteroids coming from very far away. Number 8.
Wow.
Human extinction. This is linked to number 7. We can't really confirm if any asteroids are coming to hit us because in 2017 an asteroid named AG-13 was about to hit Earth with less than the distance of the moon. The asteroid flew so fast, scientists were only able to see it 48 hours before it could have hit Earth. This is real information. Let me know if you want part 21.
Yeah, we need to know. Nestle's sleeping on the job.
¡Me dispararon! ¡Me dispararon! ¡Hermano! ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó?
This miraculous staircase defies the laws of physics, and no one even knows who built it. In 1878, they're building this chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico, when all of a sudden the French architect leading the construction just dies out of nowhere. The chapel was almost done, but a crucial staircase to the choir loft was never finished, and without the architect, no one knew how to do it. So the nuns of the chapel prayed to Saint Joseph for 9 days straight for someone to be sent to finish building these stairs. And lo and behold, at the end of the 9th day, a man with a toolbox riding a donkey comes into the chapel from across the desert. He tells the nuns he was sent there to finish building the stairs, but they had to grant him complete privacy during the entire process. He takes 3 months to fully construct this spiral staircase that leads into the upper loft, and then just leaves without telling anyone. This is where it starts to get crazy. The nuns realized they didn't even pay him, so they went to their local lumberyard to ask how much they owed for this project. The lumberyard workers tell the nuns that no one ever came to get wood from them to build those stairs. And this is in the middle of the desert in 1878, mind you. Wood is not easy to come by nor transport. There wasn't no Home Depot door delivery service back then. Upon closer look at the staircase, the chapel curator realized not a single nail was used in its construction, yet it somehow was held up perfectly secure, measuring 20 feet high and making 2 full turns without any support from a central pole. He brings in over 120 spiral staircase experts to investigate it further, and not one of them could explain how this set of stairs was built. They described it as being physically impossible to create. Even stranger still, the exact wood used to build the staircase was confirmed to be a type of spruce which is not native to New Mexico and is also scientifically not identified anywhere else in the world. This is the mystery of the Loretto Chapel and its miraculous staircase, which still remains unexplained today. The sisters of the chapel believe that Saint Joseph, who was a carpenter, came and built those stairs himself, which also happened to have exactly 33 steps, commonly regarded to be the age of Christ at the time of his crucifixion.
The most dangerous...
Whoa. That still gave me chills, man. They bring on, like he said, 133 experts and none of them can identify how it was built. And the tree is that type of tree is not located anywhere on Earth. Where the heck did that builder come from? That's the real question we need to be asking. Or could plane just be a miracle?
Dangerous Olympic sports is called luge. In a nutshell, 1 or 2 people who are called lugers will ride a sled down a hill as fast as they can. This hill is this narrow ice track. In 1986, a luge track was built on a ski hill in Alberta, Canada. This track and the surrounding ski area was called Canada Olympic Park. After the Olympics were over, this park was open to the public for recreational purposes. Nearly 30 years later, 3 teenage boys snuck into Canada Olympic Park after hours. They made their way up the hill until they reached this blue 6-foot-tall fence that was covered with warnings telling people to stay back. Inside was the starting house of the luge track. They looked at each other and chucked their plastic sleds over this blue fence and climbed up and over themselves. Once they were inside, they kind of arranged themselves. They put their helmets on, they strapped on headlamps so they could see the course because there were no lights on. They thought, let's just all get in one sled, and with the added weight, we should go faster. And after doing it a couple more times, they climbed back over that blue fence and snuck out of the park without getting caught. The following weekend, those 3 same boys, along with 5 of their friends, returned, and they determined they would put 3 boys in the first sled, 3 boys in the second sled, and 2 boys in the final sled. The group decided they did not need helmets. They also decided not to bring headlamps because it would be more exhilarating to go flying down this track in the darkness. The first 3 boys climbed into the first sled and pushed off. At first, it was going exactly to plan. But then disaster struck. There was a metal chain that had been strung across one of the sections towards the bottom of the luge track. And they strike this chain at full speed. When it hit them, it instantly decapitated and killed one of the boys. It was a 17-year-old named Evan Caldwell. And the other 2 are thrown from the sled and landed unconscious. Back up at the starting house, this second group of boys thinks they've waited long enough and they push off. They hit the chain in such a way they kind of slipped under it. They were all thrown from their sled and kind of smashed into the track, but the worst injury was a broken ankle. And before they had a chance to yell up to the starting house, it was already too late. The third and final sled came bombing down. One of the two boys was a 17-year-old named Jordan Caldwell, and he too would be decapitated by the chain. He was actually the twin brother of Evan Caldwell, the boy on the first sled who had also died. The other boy on the third sled would be thrown from the sled and would suffer grievous injuries as well. When the paramedics ultimately arrived within the hour, they found all of these boys spread out all over the track. But they discovered the twins were actually laying right next to each other, and none of these surviving boys had moved their bodies. The 6 survivors of this accident would walk away from it with life-changing head injuries and other medical issues, and with an indescribable sense of guilt, but they consider themselves lucky because at least they survived.
This is one of the saddest stories I've ever heard. This is Maryanne Bevan. The world labeled her as the ugliest woman in the world, but no one ever stopped to ask who she really was. She was just a mother, fighting to survive. Mary was once a nurse in England. She was a beautiful woman, but everything changed after her husband, Thomas Bevan, died in 1914. Soon after, she began to show signs of a rare condition called acromegaly, a disorder that caused her face and body to grow and distort painfully. People were staring at her all the time. Even the doctors weren't able to help. She had no money, she had no help, and she had to feed 4 of her children. Mary entered a contest, the Ugliest Woman in the World contest, and she won. Not out of pride, out of necessity. After that, she joined a circus to make some money. She stood on stage and she was laughed at. She was mocked, but she held it in. She endured it, all of it, because all the money she made went to her children. Mary endured cruelty for her children's future. Maryanne Bevan was never ugly. She was brave, and her sacrifice was the most beautiful thing about her.
Nah, a lot of moms would do that, and especially in today's day.
This insane mother killed her 3 kids while singing to them. Rachel Henry was a 22-year-old living in Oklahoma. She lost her mom when she was 18, which had a huge impact on her mental health. She got into substance abuse and eventually she lost her job. She then moved to Arizona with her 3 kids and lived at her aunt's house. But she was still addicted and broke. Her addiction was so bad neighbors saw her walking around the street like a zombie. One night she was alone at the house playing with her 3 kids when all of a sudden she began suffocating her 2-year-old daughter with a pillow. Even her 3-year-old son was punching and kicking Rachel to try and get her to stop, but it was no use. Once her daughter stopped moving, she carried her to the bedroom and wrapped her in a blanket to make it look like she was sleeping. Now she started chasing her 3-year-old son around the house. Luckily, the aunt came home just as this was happening. You won't believe what Rachel told her aunt. Hit the plus for part 2.
I gotta find that for you guys, man.
As we all know, there's been a new wave of conflict in the Middle East, where multiple air bases were under attack, including the one in Qatar. The United Arab Emirates strongly condemns the attack, considering it a blatant violation of the sovereignty of the state of Qatar and its airspace. The act is also a clear breach of international law and the United Nations Charter. To the citizens and residents in the UAE, kindly stay away from sharing content that are not from a reliable source. If you do, you must know, spreading misinformation contributes to panic, confusion, and societal division. In times like this, awareness is a responsibility. Let it be clear, we are not in danger. Circulating unverified videos only fuels panic, when in reality, the situation on our soil remains stable and secure. Again, we are not in danger. If you do come across any information or incidents that may affect public safety, do not hesitate to report them. Here are the official numbers for the concerned national security authorities. All reports are handled with complete confidentiality. Put your trust in your leaders. The UAE has always stood for peace and progress. We do not and will not involve ourselves in political conflicts. We choose evolution, not war. May Allah keep us safe, united, and guided by wisdom.
Biblical places that still exist. Jordan River, where Jesus was baptized.
Beautiful.
The rock that Moses struck and water came out. Jesus' tomb.
Didn't he try to read that? I heard like many stories about that.
River of Galilee that Jesus walked on. Red Sea that Moses split.
Could you see this? Could you guys imagine seeing this in person, man?
Synagogue that Jesus went to. Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus was arrested.
Full bloom, look like.
Place where Jesus healed the paralytic. Place where Jesus told Sermon on the Mount.
Facts about money that will blow your mind. Half of all elder millennials wish they had chosen a different career path. The majority said they felt pressure to pursue 4-year degrees with mountains of debt and now earn too little in their jobs to keep up. Here's the scariest part about all this. Gen Z has the lowest average student loan debt of $14,000. Millennials are the next highest with $33,000 on average. Gen Xers have even more student loan debt on average with $43,000. And finally, baby boomers actually carry the highest average student loan debt. Your student loan debt actually goes up as you get older. Top that off with the unemployment rate going back up, and more than 1 million people became unemployed last month. Here is a solution that could double your income. The average tech salary is $100,000 to $300,000. You can learn any tech profession in 6 to 9 months with Triple 10. Triple 10 offers beginner-friendly boot camps with tons of different careers, and 87% of students get great jobs at companies like Amazon and Tesla. Triple 10 will even give your money back if you don't get a job within 6 months of graduating. Link in my bio to take their free consultation to find out what career would be best for you. There is an
Who going to Triple 10, man? Get that tech money, bro. It's actually interesting, man, to see the generations of seeing how much money people owe in college, man. If you don't know what you're going to college for, I just say figure it out before you go so you don't get all that debt piled up.
Eerie ghost town in America that is too dangerous for humans because it's been on fire for over 60 years. The roads leading to it were even covered in dirt to keep people out. But despite this, the town of Centriia still has a population of 4. You see, back in its day, it was a booming coal mining town with thousands living there. But when a fire accidentally spread to the mines underground and became too large to extinguish, houses started collapsing, roads began to crack and buckle, dangerous gases started rising into the air, and a 12-year-old child even got sucked into a 150-foot sinkhole. It became so dangerous that the state of Pennsylvania stepped in and offered to buy people's properties off of them so they could leave the town. And because coal seam fires have a massive amount of fuel, it's believed that the fire will continue to burn for another 200 years. But despite the town's zip code being erased off the map, roads to it being blocked off with mounds of dirt, and even a court order saying that any residents that remain would not be allowed to sell or pass down their homes to anyone, according to a 2020 census, 4 people still remain. 5 things you can do with your body.
Who in the hell is living in a town that's always on fire? Why didn't they just abandon it with everybody else? I guess that their family home is really important to them, man. You know, some people, like, they just refuse to move. I think I seen a clip on Twitter or something like that where, like, this beacon house, they had built, like, a whole, like, I guess new, like, roads and stuff like that, but they had to freaking build around the house because the owner refused to sell, man.
That you only just realized. You can only swallow 2 to 3 times before your body forces you to wait to try again. And you can't hum with your nose plugged. You can actually tickle yourself by rubbing your tongue on the roof of your mouth. And your forearm is about the same size as your foot. And if you say, your breath comes out warm. But when you say, your breath comes out cold. In celebrities' houses,
wow, really?
After their fame. Eminem, or Marshall Mathers, was born and raised in Missouri. This is the house his family settled in when he was 11 years old. And then after his rise to fame, this is now his house. And this is the house where Jennifer Lopez grew up. Her parents were born in Puerto Rico and moved to the USA, and this is the house in New York that they bought. And then after her rise to fame, this is now one of her mansions. This is where Kanye West grew up in Chicago. But then at the age of 10, he moved to China to live with his mother. Then after his rise to fame, this is one of his incredible mansions. And Justin Bieber grew up in this house on low-income housing in Stratford, Ontario, the United States. And after his mega successful career, this is one of his craziest mansions.
Seen it glow up on each and every single one of them, man. They said, I'm through with the house. We in the mansions now. It's insane. Especially the Justin Bieber one. I can't even imagine.
Top 3 terrifying animals that existed and you didn't know about. Number 3, the Titanoboa. This prehistoric snake, living approximately 60 million years ago, ranks among the most terrifying creatures known. Reaching lengths of 39 to 49 feet and weighing up to 2,500 pounds, it dominated ecosystems, particularly in South America. Number 2, the Pulmonoscorpius, an ancient scorpion from the Carboniferous period, about 330 million years ago. Measuring up to 2.3 feet long, it surpassed the size of any present-day scorpion. Its formidable appearance likely made it a fearsome predator in its time. Number 1, the Gigantopithecus. As the largest primate to have ever lived, this colossal hominid existed around 100,000 years ago. Standing up to 9.8 feet tall and weighing up to 1,322 pounds, it was an imposing figure, although likely a peaceful herbivore. Factors like climate change and competition with humans contributed to its eventual extinction.
Normal-looking photos that have a disturbing backstory. This is former NBA player Mark Jackson's basketball card. In the background are the Menendez brothers. They're sitting courtside shortly after killing their parents and just before getting arrested. The 17-year-old who took this photo told his family members that he planned to hike the stairway to heaven. He texted multiple pictures before his disappearance, and shortly after, the family noticed a man in this photo. While this photo may seem like an ordinary picture of footprints in the sand, they actually belong to a 4-year-old little girl who shortly after this photo was taken, drowned in the ocean. The two brothers in this photo are at Sequoia National Park. This photo was taken moments before they were both struck by lightning, and both shockingly survived. There was a tradition in Victorian England to take photos of dead people, often dressed in their best clothes, and pose as if they were taking a family portrait. If you look at this photo for long enough, you will notice something is a little off about one of the children. The man who took this photo of his wife scuba diving off the Australian coast also managed to take a photo of Tina Watson, who was drowned by her husband that day in 2003.
These are the scariest
terrifying backstories, man.
Of war. Ghost Tape 10 was an audio tape played by the US Army during the Vietnam War. They would play it from helicopters and boats. Its aim was to scare the enemy Viet Cong who were hiding in the jungle.
Playing mind games on them.
The A-10 Thunderbolt II is one of the most feared planes owned by the US military. It is better known as the Warthog because of the scary sound it makes.
Is it like breaking that sound barrier?
The Warthog can actually open the sound barrier. The atomic bomb is one of the most powerful bombs ever made.
We know that from history. There's no explanation needed there. Could you imagine, man, you in a force, you hearing those sounds? Like I said, they was playing freaking, I guess, psychological on mind games on I guess, enemy soldiers. You'd be paranoid, man, especially in the jungle too. Oof. What's he got?
Hot take, you're not gonna apologize for it. 1v1, a Wolverine would whoop a honey badger. That Streets made this aggressive bulk at the face of Black Air Force energy. Old time the Wolverine's the CEO of Cell Block D tendencies. First of all, they're more than capable of hunting for themselves, but some dudes can't be bothered to get their own bread. Instead, they gotta steal from the baker. And by baker, I mean they'll tax animals like wolves, cougars, even bears. Let me remind you about the size of a medium dog, yet the crackhead Purge can have an overgrown canyon cat backpedaling. And you thought honey badgers were on timing. And they are, but Wolverines, where else are you gonna find a war weasel 2v1ing a pair of wolves? But
2v1, bro.
They can hunt, and they are very
very good at it. They've been known to murk moose by either going after one that's already injured or one stuck in the snow, since felony ferret's like a psychopath with snowshoes. And they'll track you down and run your fade like John Wick. This reindeer was injured and likely bleeding, so the travel-sized bear followed it and delivered smoke directly to the face like a cigarette. They've also been known to eat porcupines, or at least die trying. And you can even find a story of a Wolverine packing up a polar bear. Yeah, it was at a zoo, but that's still a fat W. Wolverines have this really bad habit of whenever they find something that doesn't belong to them, they'll immediately soak it with the smell of death, strong enough to make you cry fresh from its brown eye. A smell so offensive they've been nicknamed Skunk Bear. There have been stories of them breaking into cabins, blowing up the place like a truck stop bathroom, and walking out with like a sock or something. Almost forgot, this walking garbage disposal has rotated molars in the back of its mouth, meaning they can chew through solid bone and frozen meat. I'm sorry, but a motivated skunk monkey is absolutely folding an Oreo-coated temper tantrum, but that's just me.
Perplexing plot twists, part 1. In 2008, an Australian couple named Julian and Carolyn were kidnapped by a satanic cult. Members of the cult threw them in a van and drove them deep into the forest where they were stripped, blindfolded, tied up, and abandoned. Convinced that they would die, Julian suggested that the couple get married under the eyes of God and consummate their relationship. After a week of wandering through the woods, the couple finally made it back to their hometown. Julian was immediately arrested, found guilty of staging the entire thing.
What? He staged that entire thing for this girl. Not in the woods for a week, man. For him to be the mastermind? That's insane, bro.
Worst rated foods in the world. Jellied eels is a food from England, which consists of boiled eels, with salt, pepper and vinegar added to them. Rating 2.2. Chapalele is a food from Chile. It's a bread made from potatoes and flour. It doesn't sound bad, but many don't like the texture or taste. Rating 2.1. Yerushalmi kugel is a food from Israel. It might look like a cake, but it's actually a casserole, made from noodles, eggs and peppers. Some like it, while others despise it. Rating 2. Ramen burger is an American food. It's basically a hamburger, but with ramen noodles instead of buns, leading to a very soggy texture and kind of a weird taste. Rating 1.9. Halkart is a food from Iceland. It's made from shark flesh, which is then fermented for up to 3 months, and then left to dry for 5 more months. This creates a very strong taste which makes many people gag. It's normally served in really small quantities because it's so strong. Rating 1.5. Kalvsylta is a food from Sweden. It's a mix of jellied veal, onions and spices, and is eaten cold. Rating 1.4. Blodpult is a food from Finland. It's basically a dumpling made from flour and reindeer blood. Rudolph better stay away from Finland. Some say Blodpult has a similar taste to a ball of bacon, while others say the taste is absolutely awful. Rating 1. Tell me in the comments what your least favorite food is.
What if the Purge was...
I ain't gonna lie, I think it would have to be the Blood Bowl. You see different foods, different courses. They either got 1 or 2. I thought the ramen burger was gotta go be up there, but that one failed too. I didn't even know there was such a thing as that. I'm gonna have to try that. Find out for myself. Seekers, what are you guys' least favorite food?
Real. A new political party is voted into office in the U.S. The new party amends the Constitution to allow 1 day every year where all crime is legal. Most Americans bunker down in their homes, but a group of murdering psychopaths patrol the streets, and this actually prevents riots, but the majority of the murders actually happen between angry family members. Financial crimes are rampant, and the stock market crashes every single year the day before the Purge.
These are the safest countries to go if World War III was to start. And considering the news at the moment, you might want to sit down, shut up, and listen! So favorite this video, just in case you ever need it. I hope we never do. Now, there are countries all around the world, but let's start with Argentina. Now, if this was to all break out, it's likely that the world would look similar to Terminator 2 Judgment Day at the end. It's likely that all the smoke from all of these will block out the sun, this resulting very quickly in famine and crop failure. But don't panic, because we have Argentina. In Argentina, there are an abundance of resistant crops, such as wheat. This is one of the places on Earth that actually has a chance of surviving World War III. Next up, we have one of the big ones, Switzerland. Now, aside from the fact that it is incredibly neutral when it comes to politics, it has a landlocked geography and mountainous terrain, as well as being one of the countries with an insane amount of underground bunkers. Actually, there's 26,000 of them, which are actually all very hidden, which will mean you will be very safe. As well, just in case there is an invasion, Switzerland literally has booby traps everywhere. It's actually kind of insane and awesome. Next up, we have one of the big ones. Antarctica. Now, barely anyone thinks about going there, which is why it's pretty safe. However, as you can tell, it's a bit fucking cold. So bring coats.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Greenland. Now, it was in this movie, and they all survived. But on top of that, it's remote, mountainous, and politically neutral, making it kind of an ideal refuge point. And on top of that, worst case scenario, you're not too far away from the global seed vaults, which, you know, has a lot of seeds in it for planting, and thus food and survival. There are literally so many more countries on this list. So if you'd like me to go through more countries in a part 2, let me know. And hopefully we'll never need this video. But just in case we do send this to a friend, it could save their life one day. Elon!
Hey, like I said, hopefully we won't need that. I wonder if we can write some of those countries down, though. I can't believe you said Switzerland, bro. Have all those bunkers. You would think the U.S. would have some bunkers like that, too.
Trying to take over the world in today's time would go absolutely horrible. Now, trying to take over the world 1,000 years ago probably wasn't very hard. You know, you put me in a world 1,000 years ago, I could easily take over the world. Now, obviously, they weren't thinking about that. They were thinking about when they're going to get their next meal and when they're not going to die of frostbite by the age of 19.
Yep.
This taking over the world concept that we see in movies and TV shows, animes, cartoons, whatever you want to say, in fiction, just to say fiction, it isn't realistic at all. I mean, no shit. Yeah, did you know that, like, it's not possible to take over the world? Woo! Will plays us are really making us feel enlightened over here. But trying to take over the world nowadays would go horrible, like I said. 1, because guns exist. 2, because we're already unified. And 3, because guns exist. I guess if you wanted to take over the world, I guess you could probably try to convince a bunch of hillbillies and drug addicts that you're the Messiah. I would start there.
I don't think that would end well.
This clown animatronic changed the landscape of the Halloween industry when it released. This is the creepy towering clown from Spirit Halloween 2017, and his history is kind of interesting. First, because I know you guys love it so much, let's start with his official backstory. Grimsley the Great was a troubled man, an infamously tall clown who was part of a traveling carny family. Every night before a performance, Grimsley would stand before his dressing room mirror and manically paint on his deceivingly joyous features. But it took hundreds of attempts before he was satisfied. He'd wipe his face clean and start over in a fit of rage, often gnashing his pale white face with his dagger-like fingernails. Some say you could hear his blood-curdling screams from miles away from his dressing room, and his sinister soul was hiding a dark secret, a plan to collect and transform innocent bystanders into human oddities for show business. That was just a quick retelling of his official story, and it's one of the better ones, I'd say. Grimsley is made by a company called Seasonal Visions International, and he was the first bent-legged towering prop that they'd ever released. This looming, bent-legged pose eventually found its way onto several other characters. It was really popular at the time. They don't make them that much anymore, but some would say that's for the better, as these animatronics dominated SVI in the late 2010s. Before he came to Spirit, Grimsley became available in the UK in early 2017 on a website called Mad About Horror, which I still don't fully understand considering that he was meant to be a Spirit exclusive, but regardless, this was one of the few Spirit exclusives that was available in the UK for a brief period in time. But most notably, this animatronic is what started what I'm going to call the clowndemic. Grimsley's release coincided with a cultural phenomenon at the time that helped propel him into one of Spirit Halloween's most successful props. And that was It 2017. I don't know if I can really illustrate just how fucking popular this movie was when it released, but if you were there on the internet in 2017, you would know. Before 2017, clown animatronics weren't even that popular. They weren't even that frequent, which is insane to think about, because after 2017, clowns were everywhere. Nearly every clown animatronic after Grimsley became insanely popular. Many of them actually ended up overshadowing Grimsley completely, like Pugs the Clown, Crouchy, 2020 Charlie, and some others. Grimsley doesn't even get talked about that much anymore. Something else that's interesting,
This was one of the first SVI animatronics that suffered from very severe facial deformities.
Ooh.
Not quite to the extent of Heckles from last year, but it was bad. In 2018, though, they fixed this, and to this day, the 2018 model is the best version of this prop. And that's also the version that I have. Also, he has his own costume, so take that as you will. Shockingly enough, this prop retailed for only $200 in 2017. I know some will say that that's still a lot, but this thing is 7 feet tall. He's huge. If he released today, I'd bet money that he would be $300 to $350, no doubt about it. Even back in the day, $200 was crazy reasonable, considering some of the other animatronics that were priced the same. In my opinion, he was absolutely worth the money, and I think he deserves to be talked about a little more.
Tall ass clown. I don't do clowns though. Imagine seeing that walking by. Little kid gonna be scared as hell. There's different costumes, or just that costume that comes with it. I'm about to say, was he said that clown was responsible for, you know, the clown phenomenon? That was all over YouTube, all over the internet. I remember those days. People were pranking people.
Facts about food. The largest meal ever consumed was when a woman ate 19 pounds of food in about 4 hours. She did end up passing away after this. A Serbian vodka comes with 13 health warnings, including one in Braille, due to its 88% alcohol content. In 2022, 2 Californians filed a class action lawsuit against Barilla Pasta because they thought it was made in Italy. The FDA does not recognize Dr. Pepper as a cola, a root beer. Berries will bounce. If you want to test how ripe your cranberries are, drop them on the ground. Cranberries are nature's bouncy ball. Even farmers use this technique to see if their cranberries are ready for shipment. Mountain Dew contains orange juice. Although it tastes like a lemon lime soda, orange juice is third on the list of ingredients, just behind carbonated water and high fructose corn syrup. Humans' DNA is 60% the same as bananas. Our genes are comprised of 3 billion building blocks, which are surprisingly ununique. From this, 60% of our genes are identical to that of the banana. However, the other 40% is different enough to make us who we are. There's a small difference between jelly and jam. Jam is made with fruit, which is why it's so much more chunky. Jelly is made with fruit juice. This is an easy way to tell the difference between jelly and jam. Jelly will spread evenly, while jam will tend to be a little lumpy. A ridiculous amount of Nutella is sold every year, so much so that it could cover the Great Wall of China 8 times. You could circle the world almost 2 whole times, and the amount weighs the same as the entire Empire State Building. Sound can influence the taste of your food. High frequency sounds are to enhance the sweetness in food, while low frequencies bring out the bitterness. Pound cake got its name from its recipe. The early recipes of pound cake called for 1 pound of butter, 1 pound of eggs, and 1 pound of sugar. Most supermarket wasabi is actually horseradish. Real wasabi is challenging to make and expensive. As an alternative, most wasabi for sale is colored horseradish with flavoring. Farmed salmon is dyed pink. Wild salmon is naturally pink because of all of the shrimp they eat. Farm-raised salmon have a different diet and end
eating fake salmon out here.
They are fed specific plant pigments to get the same hue as wild salmon. Crackers are worse for your teeth than sugar. Acid is the biggest cause of tooth decay, and crackers tend to stick to your teeth, which ends up being a breeding ground for bacteria. You can find peanuts in dynamite. Peanuts have an oil that is used as an ingredient while making glycerol, which is a main component of nitroglycerin. French fries originated in Belgium, not France. They are only called French fries because they are French cut. Twinkie cream is not cream at all. It is actually vegetable shortening.
Strawberries are not berries. Technically, berries only have seeds on the inside, a rule which is obviously broken by strawberries. Margarita pizza is named after a queen. When King Umberto I and Queen Margherita visited Naples, they wanted a change from their fancy food and asked for pizza, which was food for the poor back then. The queen loved the mozzarella pizza so much that it ended up being named after her. Thomas Jefferson actually made pasta popular in the United States. He is responsible for bringing the first macaroni machine over to the United States after spending time in France. He was also the one who introduced mac and cheese to Americans. Cauliflower comes in multiple colors. Although we typically only see the white cauliflower, it actually has purple, orange, green varieties. Orange and purple cauliflowers have higher antioxidants. Lima beans are deadly. Raw lima beans have lethal amounts of cyanide in them, but if you cook them thoroughly, you'll be just fine. Sweet drinks can cause dementia. It's not quite as drastic as it originally sounds. However, studies have shown that people who drink one or more artificially sweetened drinks per day are almost 3 times more likely to develop dementia. Coffee is the main source of antioxidants for Americans. Antioxidants help fight aging and heart disease, but coffee doesn't really have that many of them. We just drink a lot of it, so we kind of get enough. An expensive delicacy of China is bird's nest soup, which is made from rare bird's nests created from the saliva of small swiftlets. They've been used in China for over 4 centuries. Food is allowed to contain some amount of insects. By FDA standards, there is an allowance for the level of traces of bugs that could be in your food. Chocolate can have no more than 60 insect fragments per 100 grams. Peanut butter can't have more than 30 insects per 100 grams. So theoretically, insects can be in them as long as it's under that. Tonic water.
That's insane.
Quinine is the component of tonic water, which is what causes the glow. Sheep brains are a delicacy in Turkey, China, and India. Brains are a natural filling for ravioli, cheese, scrambled eggs, and other textured dishes. Rocky Mountain oysters are deep-fried bull testicles, favored among cowboys, often served at rodeo events across the United States.
Dolls in North America. Before I display him, I highly suggest you comment that you claim no negative energy in this video. Now, before I start, Robert, I respect you, and all I am doing is telling your story.
We respect Robert.
In the late 1800s, Thomas Otto and his family moved into a mansion in Key West, Florida. The Ottos were known to be stern with their servants, sometimes even mistreating them. There was a woman who was hired to take care of their son Robert, and one day Mrs. Otto supposedly witnessed her practicing black magic in their backyard and fired her. Before she left, the woman gave Robert a lifelike doll which stood 3 feet tall, had buttons for eyes, and human hair believed to be Robert's. Soon after, Robert chose to be referred by his middle name, Jean, after being scolded by his mother. He told her that Robert was the doll's name, not his. Jean was often heard in his toy room having conversations with Robert. Household objects would be found thrown across the room. Jean's toys turned up mutilated and giggling could be heard. Robert supposedly attacked people, sometimes locking them in the attic. One certain night, Robert was found at the foot of the owner's bed, giggling with a kitchen knife in hand. Robert was later moved to the East Martello Museum in Key West, where he sits perched in a glass box to this day. One employee cleaned Robert, turned off all the lights, and left for the night. The next day, he returned to find lights turned on and Robert sitting in a different position than the night before, and a fresh layer of dust on his shoes. Some say he'll even curse you. If you want to take a picture of him, you may ask politely. He'll tilt his head in permission. Now I just want to say again, Robert, I respect you, and I am just trying to tell more people about your story. Have you seen Robert in person? Have you ever had any experiences with him? Let me know in the comments.
Stay away from Robert, man. Looks like I have some bad energy.
SpongeBob night. Liam, come here. Liam, right now. What is happening? Okay, I'm calling your mom. Just stay right here. Cheese. Cheese. What you doing? What you see?
Papa.
What you see? Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
He said, hi, Papa, hi. I mean, you know, sometimes, like I said, kids, people be thinking they're talking to like that. I guess they're imaginary friends or something like that. But what happens if, man, if they're really talking to like a spirit, or they be seeing spirits? That's an interesting thing. I'm gonna propose to you guys. What do you guys think? Cooking on that
one. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head.
Classic.
And they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go. Spirits in my head and they won't go. I got guns in my head and they won't go.
Don't ever stay up past midnight again, especially during a sleepover. This, my friends, is the Midnight Clown. Click the plus drop a like, tag a friend, share it through. He might show up at your house tonight. He's an absolutely insane, vindictive clown, targeting kids who are having sleepovers. Kids being distracted, he ends up killing the parents. Then when the kids come downstairs to use the bathroom, they notice their parents. And then all of them are never seen again. And I actually just reacted to a video of people ordering a clown off the dark web. The first 100 people to click the link in my bio, subscribe, like, and comment on that video will get a shout out. Good luck, my friends.
You go to clowns off the dark web? That's news to me. What the hell is going on there? There's really a market for everything and anything, man. Who wants to buy a clown off the dark web with that? I had no idea. You know what that is.
Rare photos of fascinating people through history. This was Jacques Plante, the first goalie in hockey to ever wear a protective face mask in 1959, and I think you could see why. In 1964, Randy Gardner set the world record for the longest time without sleep, staying awake for 264 hours. The objects that are next to him were used to prove that he was still lucid. This was Maurice Tillet, a wrestler known as the French Angel. Some say he inspired Shrek, and he went undefeated for 18 months in the early 1940s. In 1907, this swimmer, Annette Kellerman, was arrested for indecency for wearing this exact bathing suit at Revere Beach in Massachusetts. This is Brumasia Gelgi, the world's tallest woman at just over 7 feet. This was Valentine Tapley, who vowed in 1860 to never cut his beard if Lincoln was elected. Here he is in 1896. He placed 5th in a world's longest beard competition. They had some long beards back then, apparently. Oh my goodness. This was Albert Woolson, the last surviving Civil War veteran. He fought for the Union Army and died in 1956 at 106 years old. This was Ham, the chimpanzee, the first ape launched into space. His mission tested cognitive function and safety. It was successful, and he actually returned unharmed. This was Charlotte and Marjorie Collier, a mother and daughter who survived the Titanic. Charlotte's husband and Marjorie's father, Harvey, died in the wreck, and they also lost their life savings of 5,000 pounds in cash.
These are human body parts that may disappear in the future. First up is body hair. Originally, it protected ancient humans from harsh weather conditions. However, over time, with modern clothes and changes in environmental conditions, human body hair has significantly decreased and continues to do so. Many scientists believe it might eventually completely disappear. Next are wisdom teeth. They used to serve an evolutionary purpose for ancient humans who had much rougher diets and needed more chewing power. But our diets have softened and our jaws have become increasingly smaller. As a result, they have no space to properly grow in, and many people need to have them surgically removed. Many babies are now being born without wisdom teeth, and scientists believe this will eventually be the standard. Finally, we have male nipples. Everyone starts as female in the womb, and before the Y chromosome kicks in for males, nipples have already formed. When the baby becomes male, the prolactin levels decrease, making the male nipples non-functional. So while it's debated, some scientists think they'll disappear.
Rare people who
got male nipples gonna disappear now, bro. Could you guys even imagine that, bro? I'm thinking, imagine that, man. That would look like nightmare fuel to me. I just can't even imagine that. That's freaking screwed up my mind. But we evolving. So I guess that's what comes with it.
who are unique in the world. First, this 11-year-old Mexican girl has an IQ higher than Einstein's. Meet Adhara Perez. At just 11 years old, Adhara Perez Sanchez has an impressive record and an IQ that surpasses that of Einstein, as well as Stephen Hawking, whom she has always admired. Diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, Adhara started speaking late. Her teachers did not have high expectations for her future. However, thanks to her academic progress, she completed elementary school at the age of 5 and high school at 8. At 9 years old, she gave a lecture on black holes at an event organized by the Institute of Art and Culture of Mexico City and published a book in which she shared her experience as a high-functioning autistic child, dedicated to children who suffer from the same condition as her. She has also been recognized by Forbes as one of the 100 most influential women in Mexico. Adhara is pursuing a master's degree in mathematical engineering at the Technological University of Mexico City. She is passionate about the cosmos and the stars. She dreams of joining NASA and participating in the exploration of the planet Mars. She also plans to design a connected bracelet capable of detecting emotions and preventing epileptic seizures.
This girl married
She
her
can
family
accomplish all that and more.
while pregnant with her ex-husband's baby, and then proceeded to become the first empress of Rome. Meet Livia Drusilla, or simply Livia. Now let me explain. Livia was born in a very important family. She belonged to the patrician gens of the Claudi. She's still a child when Julius Caesar has his rise to power, and she's about 16 when he gets. At 17, her father marries her off to Tiberius Claudius Nero. At that time, we have Mark Antony and Octavian that are determined to A, vindicate Julius Caesar, and B, through that, gain power. So she marries Tiberius Claudius Nero, and as soon as she gets married, she sees him off to war. Why? Because at the time, we have Mark Antony and Octavian on one side, who are fighting against the people that Caesar, Brutus, and Cassius. Both Livia's father and Livia's husband fight with Brutus and Cassius against Octavian and Mark Antony. So her family, and probably herself, really hate this guy over here. Octavian wins, Brutus and Cassius get. Livia, in the meantime, has her first child. She's definitely not happy about the situation. Together with her husband, she's forced to flee Rome to avoid the recrimination of Octavian against his enemies. They go to Sicily, where her husband supports yet another of Octavian's opponents, Sextus Pompeius. After that, she's forced to move to Greece. So by now, she's probably like this, absolutely not amused, being like, this guy Octavian is literally ruining my life. She's never seen him, but she sure hates him. Eventually, an agreement is reached between Octavian and Sextus Pompeius. A general amnesty is announced. That means no recriminations of any sort. It means that Livia can finally return to Rome. And here's where the war movie turns into a rom-com. Because as soon as Octavian, the man that her husband has been fighting against all this while, sees her, he falls for her instantly. But there's a problem, she's married. And there's another problem, he's married as well. Follow for part 2.
There's a part 2 to that? What the heck? I was getting a good history lesson right there, man. Thinking about ancient Rome and all that. I've been watching like some of the Gladiator series that was by Stars. Some people call it like the first Game of Thrones. What is it called? It's called Spartacus, yeah. I just want to let you guys know that.
2025 just got even crazier. Part 17. The Statue of Liberty was a gift from France, if you didn't know. But in 2025, a French lawmaker came out and claimed they want the Statue of Liberty back, and said, we gave it to you as a gift, but apparently you despise it. It will be just fine here at home. Now, people online saw this and said, we'll give the Statue of Liberty back, but in return, we get the Eiffel Tower. Oh my goodness. Next, when a delivery driver went to Starbucks to get hot tea, one of the hot venti-sized drinks fell onto the delivery driver's lap. Well, the man has now been awarded $50 million in damages from Starbucks because of the burns from the drink.
America has a new...
Freaking fit. Could you guys imagine burns on that nigga damn legs like that? What the heck is going on? How can someone just spill that, man? At least you got justice, bro. $50 million. He got his justice.
Gun, and it's one that uses facial recognition and fingerprint scanners. It's called the BioFire Smart Gun. It's the first to actually hit the market, and it's more controversial than you think. You see, to try and push for more firearm safety, this gun only works when its registered owner scans their face or their fingerprint, and the gun locks and becomes unusable as soon as it leaves their hand. It's also trickier to build one of these than you think, because it's not just a gun with a fingerprint scanner slapped on the top. It's actually the first gun ever to not rely on a physical trigger mechanism, but rather it sends an electrical signal to fire the bullet, and it can only get that signal if it's it's in the owner's hands. But also because of that, it's roughly twice the price at $1,500. Gun control advocates think it's a great idea, saying at least it can't be used in the wrong hands like a child or a criminal. But some firearm enthusiasts, not so keen. They fear that this technology could malfunction when you need it the most, or could be used as a slippery slope for more gun control laws over time. The question is, what do you guys think? Is this the gun that America needs, or not?
This is the disturbing truth behind Home Alone. Okay, so we all know and love the movie Home Alone. But did you know the disturbing truth behind it? So, Kevin McAllister grows up to be Jigsaw in the Saw franchise. If you think about it, the traps that Kevin made in Home Alone were extremely sophisticated and advanced, especially for a kid. So, as he got older, his traps became way more brutal, twisted, and complex as an adult. So, Kevin McAllister is actually Jigsaw, and he fell in love putting people in traps ever since the robbers tried to rob his house.
Okay, that one was kind of out of my mind turning because I can kind of see that we know it's a theory, man, but you know, like I said, Jigsaw Saw, he loves his traps, man. Home Alone Kevin, he loves his traps also, man. So I definitely see some of the similarities between those two, man. But I think that theory is kind of out there. And didn't they just announce like a couple of days ago that they're not making a new Saw movie, like it got canceled. So I don't know, man. That theory is kind of hard for me to get on, but I can see the similarities, though. Maybe he got inspired by him, man.
Top 3 strangest ways that people have died. Most people know what a Segway is. They came out just under 20 years ago, and they're basically a giant hoverboard with handles. And in 2009, a man bought Segway Inc. and became the CEO. And unfortunately, just 1 year later, in 2010, he fell off a cliff while on his own Segway while demonstrating its safety procedures. Coming in at number 2, we have the execution of George, the Duke of Clarence. He was the brother of 2 English kings and was sentenced to death in 1478. However, his only request for his execution is that he was to be drowned by a barrel of wine, which goes to show just how much he loved his drinks. And at number 1, the strangest way that somebody has ever died happened in 2013. In the middle of the night, a Brazilian man was fast asleep when a cow fell through his roof and crushed him. And apparently, according to local media of the town, this is the 3rd time that this has happened. Weird.
Cows falling from the sky?
Report at the hospital, there were several missed opportunities where the consultants went to, in some form or another, a meeting, an email, a conversation where they were raising these concerns.
Arguably 15, 20 times they went to managers and flagged their concerns. And not only were they being dismissed, these external reports were being established that were, never going to get to the bottom of why the children were unexpectedly collapsing and dying. We know that now with hindsight. But they were also, by the end, being victimised, bullied. The doctors were actually looking for new jobs. Some of them, their mental health, really suffered because they felt this burden. Should we as individuals have gone to the police early?
This is one of the heartbreaking true stories that likely inspired adolescents. When actor and writer Stephen Graham was asked about stories that inspired the show, he said, "Where it came from for me is there was an incident in Liverpool, a young girl, she was unalived to death by a young boy, and I just thought, why?" It's being reported that he was likely referring to the high-profile case of Ava White. Ava White was an innocent 12-year-old girl who lost her life after attending a Christmas light switch on in Liverpool city centre. She was reportedly approached by a group of teenage boys, and a verbal argument broke out after one of the boys apparently filmed her without her permission and put the video on Snapchat. After Ava asked for the video to be removed from Snapchat, one of the boys, who was aged 14 at the time, unalived her with a knife. I'm sorry I have to use this strange lingo on TikTok, I just don't want to have the video flagged. The schoolboys were all questioned by police, but ultimately it was decided that one of the boys, a 14-year-old, was guilty of taking her life. The young boy who was found guilty of taking Ava's life was sentenced to a minimum of 13 years. One of the similarities between adolescence and this heartbreaking true story is that the boy that was found guilty actually maintained that he was innocent right up until the end. But it wasn't just this story alone that inspired the show. Stephen Graham also said there's a number of stories he's seen on the news about young boys being violent towards young girls that did inspire the story. He also specifically mentions the case of Maryanne Gay, who was lured into a park by 2 teenagers and unalived. He said, "I just thought, what's going on and what is happening?"
Facts that might save your life one day. Alright, so if a person you don't know shows up to your house and asks for help in the middle of the night, do not open the door, especially if you're a girl alone, because human traffickers tend to use these tactics to lure girls outside. So just make sure all your doors are locked and call the police straight away. Next, if you ever feel like something bad is about to happen, trust your guts and just leave, because in most cases you might be right. Now, if you're ever involved in a plane crash and it crashes in the ocean, whatever you do, do not inflate your life jacket. Instead, wait until you're outside the plane, because if you inflate it while you're inside, you could get trapped inside as the water level rises. And finally, if you were ever to go homeless during winter, do not sleep on the ground, because people have literally frozen to death that way. Instead, try to find some cardboard pieces and sleep on that, because the ground itself absorbs way more heat than cardboard.
We learning. Those are some interesting facts, man. Especially while on a plane about not having, you know, a life jacket. I didn't even know something like that could happen. You could get trapped in there by the water. Fun fact, I still have never flown on a plane before. And what's going on now? I don't think I will anytime soon. Get out of you guys, man.
This video will keep you up at night. A man was working as a security guard at a warehouse during his night shift, and he began to feel a little creeped out when weird things started going on in the warehouse around him. He was the only one in the warehouse, and it was about 2:30 in the morning. So he brought out his phone in hopes to catch something unexplainable on camera. At first, the video he took seems pretty normal. There's absolutely nothing weird going on. But when he pans over to the food he brought, the apple moves on its own. He goes to reach for his apple, but right when he does this, the cup on his desk seemingly moves on its own. The man is obviously pretty frightened by this and doesn't know how to react. But when he goes to grab the cup, it again moves on its own away from his hand. Many people believe that this is staged, however, it looks pretty real. What do you guys think?
Here are some accidents that changed the world forever. A scientist left a dirty Petri dish on his desk, came back days later, and then realized the mold inside had just killed bacteria, accidentally discovering antibiotics. A radar engineer felt a strange heat in his pocket, looked down and saw that his chocolate bar was melting. He had just invented the microwave. A chemist trying to make a super strong glue ended up with one so weak it barely stuck. But years later, that failure became Post-it notes. A naval engineer dropped a metal spring, watched it bounce perfectly down a flight of stairs, and turned that mistake into the slinky. A physicist experimenting with electricity saw his own bones glowing through his hand, and before he even knew what it was, he had discovered X-rays. A man pulled furs off his dog's fur, realized nature had built the perfect hook and loop system, and turned it into Velcro. A scientist building a heart monitor grabbed the wrong part, made the circuit pulse, and unknowingly created the first pacemaker. An ice cream vendor ran out of cups, spotted a waffle maker next to him, and rolled one into a cone, changing ice cream forever. Two astronomers kept hearing annoying static in their telescope, thought it was bird poop, and accidentally found proof of the Big Bang. A company selling wallpaper cleaner was going bankrupt until they realized kids were playing with it, so they rebranded it as Play-Doh. A scientist knocked a coated glass flask onto the floor, watched it crack but not shatter, and accidentally invented safety glass. A chemist absorbed an experimental chemical through his skin, started hallucinating, and unknowingly discovered LSD. This is the scariest.
The LSD world, man. Imagine that never would have happened, man. I didn't realize so many of the greatest inventions, man, they came from just freak accidents or failures, and people just picked up with some of those ideas and just kept going. Goes to show you, man, there's success even in failures. Just gotta learn from them.
Story about the school trip. An entire class of 6th graders went on a school trip one day. Everyone
Everybody was taking pictures with their phones and cameras and having such a great time. But when they all got back to school, they started looking through all the photos they took, when suddenly one of the girls screamed, "Oh my god, what is that?" In the picture, one of the boys in the class was sitting on the bus, and nothing seemed strange about the photo until you looked at his reflection in the window. His face in the reflection looked like it was yellow and bulging, and completely mutating. Also, there was a white floating figure behind him in the reflection. Everybody turned the photo upside down and realized it was a human skull, and it was horrific. And when the boy saw the photo of himself, he immediately burst into tears and had a panic attack. The teacher then took the boy to the nurse's office, and the principal banned everybody from speaking about the strange photo ever again. And to make this even scarier, 7 days later, the boy died from a brain tumor. The photo is said to be on the internet somewhere, but I don't recommend looking for it. Can someone explain to me what happened to these trucks? Would you rather live here with unlimited food and no internet, or date the third person who appears when you click share and then more? This is supposedly footage of an alien abduction caught on CCTV.
Check it out. Just vanished. What the heck? Just plopped them back down.
Question time. How old would you be if your age was flipped backwards? Let me know down below. Should this family get rid of this doll or not?
It's what happens whenever I put her near my daughter's old Cabbage Patch doll. But that's not the weirdest part. There's no batteries.
What the hell's going on?
But wait, there's more. I even cut the wire to see if that would stop it. Is she causing this?
Yeah. You know we don't do dolls over here, man. House opera with no bed and he cut the wires? I don't know if that's staged or not, man. That was eerie. You know what that is.
Last month, 3 suitcases were discovered in Florida with human remains inside, and now a man has been arrested for his wife's murder. On July 21st, police in Delray Beach, Florida found a suitcase in the intercoastal waterway after someone called 911 to report something strange they saw in the waterway. This discovery, police found 2 more suitcases nearby, and the next day found 2 additional bags. Inside the suitcases and bags were human remains of a woman only described at the time as, quote, a white or Hispanic middle-aged woman with brown hair, approximately 5'4". The investigation into these suitcases led police to surveillance footage that then led them to a suspect. Multiple witnesses told detectives about a vehicle and person who was seen in the area multiple times before the suitcases were found. A couple who lived near where the suitcases were discovered told detectives they saw a white male looking into the intercoastal waterway several days before July 21st, the day the suitcase was found. They said he appeared to be looking for something, presumably the suitcase, and they saw him 5 to 6 times over a 3-day period before the 21st. When confronted by the couple, the man said he was waiting for the big boat to come into the harbor. Another group of witnesses who were working on a roof at a property next to where the 3rd suitcase was found said that they saw the same man standing on the seawall looking at the suitcase before he got into his car and left. Video surveillance in the area captured a vehicle tag that led them to their suspect, Delray Beach resident William Lowe, and he had a wife that matched the name that came back from an airline scan code on one of the suitcases. Adil Barbosa Fontes matched the brief description of the remains found in the suitcase, and she shared the same address as Lowe. This led police to acquire a search warrant for the home of 78-year-old Lowe. In searching his home, police found blood spatter throughout the residence, including in the living room, dining room, and primary bathroom. There were also drag marks observed throughout the home, and cleaning cleaning supplies that contained blood splatter were found as well. While they were executing the search warrant, detectives said that Lowe attempted to re-enter through the back window, and when he was stopped, he just said he was trying to get his phone and the keys to his storage unit. The search of that storage unit uncovered a chainsaw that appeared to have blood and human hair on it. After all of this, Lowe was arrested on July 31st. During questioning, he reportedly said that his wife Adele had been in Brazil for about 3 weeks. But when questioned further about her trip, he did not know how she got to the airport, what airline she flew on, or the last time he spoke to her. When shown photos of the suitcases, Lowe reportedly said he had never seen them before. But police knew at least one of them belonged to his wife because of the airline tag that had her name connected to it. And when they asked Lowe about this, he just said, "I don't know." Day after Lowe's arrest, the victim found in the suitcases was positively identified through dental records as Adele Barbosa Fontes. ME declared the manner of death to be homicide and the cause of death to be a gunshot wound to the head. The next day, Lowe was charged with first-degree murder and abuse of a dead body. He was denied bail and he has not yet entered a plea, so he remains in prison until his next hearing. Hopefully, he will have to pay for what he did. Rest in peace, Adele.
Chilling story. I don't know how a husband could do that to his own wife. You see some creepy clowns? You guys remember that creepy clown trend, man, on YouTube? That was a freaking time, bro. You risk your life in these streets, man, trying to dress up as a clown. It ain't worth it, man. These clowns are freaking eerie, bro. They posing for these.
Companies you didn't know have a dark history, part 1.
Okay.
Nestle, the chocolatier of horror. The Willy Wonka of the real world. Most people know Nestle for producing candies like Kit Kat and the Crunch Bar. But their history, unlike the products they sell, is anything but sweet. In the 1970s, Nestle began an aggressive marketing campaign in several underdeveloped countries in an attempt to promote their baby formula and increase profits. The problem was, their marketing tactics were completely unethical. They hired fake nurses and were handing out free samples in hospitals, all the while trying to convince local mothers that their formula was healthier than the free and natural breast milk they already had. And it worked. Mothers began using the formula. And then, when their milk dried up from a lack of use, they had no choice but to use the formula. A formula that, when mixed with the unclean drinking waters these communities had available to them, would become nothing short of deadly. At its peak, their formula is estimated to have caused more than 200,000 infants a year to lose their lives, and more than 10 million to date. The incident caused massive protests, and you might be thinking, surely since they still exist, they must have learned their lesson and changed their ways, right? Well, I'm afraid the answer is no. No, they did not. Comment if you want me to continue this series, and if this has changed your perspective towards Nestle, and follow for more.
Let's talk about this.
Definitely changed my perspective.
A TikToker named Samuel said he was walking through a parking lot when a random man suddenly called his name. Whoever made the packaging for bacon needs to be fired, because why is there no like Ziploc or anything on these packages? Who designed it? When I find you, I'm going to steal your dog. I'm going to give you the worst life you can ever have. I hate you. He looked at the guy and got closer to see if he knew him. But he had no idea who he was. And he wondered, how did the guy even know his name? That's when things started to turn weird. The man asked him for $1 and said he knew that he had one on him right now. I don't know how he knew that, but I would have told him to mind your business. Stop pocket watching. Hey, I got a question. Do y'all like chocolate milk or strawberry milk? Comment down below. Samuel said at this point his heart was beating out of his chest. He told the man, yeah, I have $1. You can have it. The man then snatched the $1 out of his hand and asked him if he wanted to see something. The man lifted up the back of his shirt, showed Samuel his tail. He then got on all fours, like an animal, you know, a dog, a lizard, and crawled away. Now look, man, I know this all sounds crazy, right? But as soon as Samuel had that interaction, he went straight to his car, recorded a TikTok video, uploaded the TikTok video.
Okay, bro, so the weirdest thing just happened to me.
Try this baby right here. No, that's a good BLT. I checked his page, and he hasn't posted since. That was his last video. If somebody knows Samuel, let me know if he's still alive, because that was his last video posted, and that was in 2022.
Damn. What do you guys think about the Skinwalker
While the
story?
world is focusing on Florida, not many people know that the Sahara Desert is flooding right now. And the pictures are insane. After 6 consecutive years of drought, the Moroccan Sahara was hit with what meteorologists called an extra tropical storm. And it brought an amount of rain that the region hasn't seen in up to 50 years. And here's the crazy part. This flooding may actually change the course of the region's weather for months and years to come. That's because the air will now retain more moisture, which causes more evaporation and draws in more storms. NASA satellites show water rushing in to fill the famous Lake Erie, which had been dry for almost 50 years. This is the scare.
That's kind of scary, man, to see how our planet is reacting, bro. It's called the Sahara Desert for a reason, man. And it's flooded now, bro. That's proof right there that we need, bro, that our planet is changing. We gotta do better, man.
Scariest thing that ever happened to America.
Okay, we all know that America had a lot of scary things happen to it. But what I'm about to tell you has to be the scariest thing ever. On August 29th, 1968, every single TV in America shut down.
And a demonic whispering was coming from every single TV in America. Many people believed it was the devil trying to get across some sort of message, but nobody really understood it.
This lasted for about 25 seconds, and then all the TVs came back on. To this day, nobody knows what caused it or why it happened, but every single person believed it was the works of the devil.
Could that have just been a glitch in the system? Or something else, man. Every spirit trying to, like I say, get a message across. That's obviously an edit right there.
Times when companies dissed others, part 3.
Okay.
In 2001, Coca-Cola announced that they sold 4 more times than Pepsi. So Pepsi, being salty, decided to create this whole ad of a boy going to a vending machine, getting 2 Cokes from the vending machine, just so he can stand on the cans and get a Pepsi. They are honestly ruthless for this. Next, in 2014, Mercedes made a commercial showing how a chicken can keep their head still while their bodies move, saying Mercedes can do the same thing with their car stability. However, the car company Jaguar saw this and decided to make almost the exact same commercial.
Word for word, bar for bar, bro.
But at the end, a jaguar straight up destroys the chicken. That's cruel.
Scary facts you'll think about at night. Horned lizards squirt blood from their eyes. The Devil's Bible is a real book. If the sun exploded, you would not know about it for 8 minutes. 20% of children report hearing voices.
There is something sinister that's occurred in the heart of Caddo Lake. An 8-year-old girl has completely vanished in or near the lake, which of course has left her family and loved ones completely devastated. This place is nestled within a remote and desolate swamp. Caddo Lake is shrouded in mystery. It's dark trees, murky waters, and there are countless hidden spots that would make it perfect for somebody to disappear. As the search for Anna continues, there has been a startling discovery. There are secrets buried deep within this eerie lake, far more than I think anybody could have imagined. Now, this chilling premise is the basis for the latest suspense and mystery film, produced by M. Night Shyamalan, premiering on Max Thursday, October 10th. Don't miss the stars Dylan O'Brien and Eliza Scanlon as they unravel the terrifying secrets hidden beneath the surface, only on Max.
This is how
Should I check that out?
actually are. Firstly, less than 1% of people can swallow 5 times on a single breath. So hold your breath and just swallow your saliva 5 times. It is very difficult to do. I can do it, but my siblings can't. So 20% of people have a gap in their teeth. I had a really bad tooth gap back in the day, so if anyone makes fun of you for having a tooth gap, just know you are more rare than them. If you're a naturally blonde individual, man or woman, you're actually quite rare in comparison to the rest of the world, because only 2% of people are naturally blonde, so pretty cool. Here are some new animals that were discovered in 2022. Only 42% of the Earth has been discovered, so it's no surprise that new animals keep spawning.
So let's see. The first known fox dog has just been discovered in Brazil after being hit by a car.
I beg your pardon?
But
what?
It did survive. That is one gangster-ass dog. I would definitely adopt this creature. If it doesn't eat cats, because I don't want Ash getting clapped. Speaking of cats, in Australia, they found a new type of cat shark. What is a cat shark? And they called it a demon cat shark because apparently it looks like a demon. Yeah, I kind of see it. I don't know what that is, but staying far away from that. And lastly, a new flying cockroach was discovered in the Philippines. And apparently it's so fast that you can't even catch it.
Whoa. You still freaking learning new animals up to this year, bro? Makes you think, man, what else have we discovered? Earth is a big place, especially under the sea. We don't know what's lurking in there.
Money facts that will blow your mind. Content creators on OnlyFans made more money than all of the NBA players combined. Corinna Kopp has made more in 3 years than Klay Thompson has in his recent 3-year NBA contract. If you've been subscribed to Netflix since 2007, you've paid them almost $2,000. If you had instead invested that $2,000 into Netflix back then, you would have over $350,000 today. Paul Walker secretly bought a $9,000 engagement ring for an Iraq veteran that he overheard in a jewelry store telling his soon-to-be wife that he wasn't going to be able to afford it. Disney spends $50 million a year on fireworks. That's over $130,000 a night. Amazon will lose over $1 billion a year if it went 1 second slower. These are the average retirement savings in the United States by age group. The average for under 35 is $50,000. Average by the time you're 65 is over $600,000. The New York Stock Exchange is owned by a company named Intercontinental Exchange, which has its stock listed on the New York Stock Exchange.
This is why you should.
I'm sorry, it's just that freaking OnlyFans versus NBA salaries, man, it's getting to me, bro. That many people are subbing up to OnlyFans where they're making more than NBA players. Damn, that's a shame, bro. I would even think something like that's possible, man. They making meals, bro, a month? Whew. What does the world come to, Seekers?
To be scared of Ouija boards. A former Reddit user said that he used a Ouija board with results and let something into his home. He said that he has also been physically assaulted by this entity. He said that it started out with a feeling that he was being watched. Doors closing and footsteps on the hardwood floor when he was home alone. All of this slowly progressed into being kept awake by something shaking the bed and pulling off the covers. He said that sometimes he even heard whispers of his name. The board would disappear for days on end and then show up in places that he never even put it. He became obsessed with it. Things got even worse though. He said that he began to see a black mass in the corner of the room and the silhouette of a man watching him from the doorway. One night, the paranormal activity escalated into a full-blown attack. He said that he had his hair pulled, fingers pricked, and that he was choked while being held down in bed. During the attack, he claims that this thing whispered into his ear in what could have only been Latin. After this event, he finally decided to have his house blessed. And fortunately, this entity hasn't shown back up. He said that he will never again play with one of those boards.
These are the top 5
I
most
never
disturbing
do.
entities from the Home Safety Hotline DLC. At number 5, we have the False Caroler. These are basically big humanoid creatures with feathers. They approach your front door after dark and start this weird, twisted singing. They do this so they can lure you out, take you away, and feed you to their young. At number 4, we have Lucy. If it's hailing outside, watch out because Lucy can slip into your home. Once inside, she tries to look for humans and pets to steal their warmth. At number 3, we have the Hunt. This is not a snowstorm, it's fungus. What looks like snow here is actually spores. And those spores turn people into whites, basically coughing zombies that die after 48 hours. At number 2 we have Hans. Hans is a cloth creature that occupies homes. And once it does, it changes the personalities of the people that live there, making them more hazardous and wild. And at number 1 is Purge. If you have a messy home, there's a chance that Purge could come visit. And if she finds you there, she literally turns you into a scarecrow, killing you instantly.
3 disturbing facts about your favorite cartoons. Number 3. Peter Pan is actually the angel of death. He would take kids to Neverland, which represented the afterlife. That's why none of the kids there get older, because they're already dead. Number 2. In Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin has severe schizophrenia, and all the other characters represent his mental disorder. Tigger, ADHD. Eeyore, depression. Piglet, anxiety. Bloody sad. And number 1, Pokemon was never real. In episode 1, Ash Ketchum falls off his bike and lands directly on his head, which then puts him into a coma. And it's led to believe that his entire journey after that is all in his head. Day officially ruined. Cheers, legends.
I thought he had to catch them all though, bro. What the heck?
Facts about Australia you didn't know. Kangaroos have 3 vaginas. Next, Australia has the biggest cattle farm in the world, and it is bigger than the whole country of Israel in size. Moving on, there's around 10,000 beaches in Australia, but less than 1,000 of them can be visited at any time. And you know, around 80% of all plants and animals are unique to Australia, meaning you can find them anywhere else in the world.
Wow. I need to go to Australia, bro. That's on the bucket list, man. But I heard they got some big spiders. I know we don't do that, though. They're huge, man, over Australia. That's it.
The worst times to be alive in history, part 1. 536 AD. In 536 AD, most of the world went dark for up to 18 months. As a mysterious fog ruled over Europe, the Middle East, and a part of Asia. The fog blocked the sun during the day, causing temperatures to drop, crops to fail, and people to die. Follow for the next time.
You are going to want to keep the light on for these spooky facts from history. Princess Anastasia and her sisters were actually very close to Rasputin. They were taught to treat him as their friend and confidant, and when they died, it was revealed that they each wore amulets with his picture inside. Mary I of England wanted a child so badly, she actually had a phantom pregnancy. Her abdomen swelled, she stopped menstruating, and she even vomited in the mornings. But no child came. The most chilling part, Mary thought it was God punishing her for tolerating heretics. The incident may very well have led to her brutal punishments of non-Catholics, earning her the nickname Bloody Mary. In summer 1518 in Strasbourg, France, a lone woman started dancing in the streets. But soon enough, people joined her, and they couldn't stop. The so-called dancing plague lasted for months, was maybe even fatal, and its reasons are still unknown today. In Brazil one year, a 2-year-old boy died of pneumonia, but the family was shocked when he sat upright at the funeral and asked for a glass of water. Then suddenly, he collapsed again, leaving the coroner to proclaim him dead once more.
What? Twice, man? He woke up, asked for some water, and then gone again? That is chilling, bro.
Spookiest facts that will keep you up at night. There's over 100 known serial killers that haven't been caught. The world's largest pyramid is not in Egypt, but in Mexico. 12% of people dream without any color imagery. The human body contains enough fat to make 7 bars of soap.
Not the scariest thing in the ocean. Close, but not the scariest thing in the ocean. Not even the Oreo equalizer. Nah, the last animal I would want to see in the ocean. Bro, let me tell you about this squid. Now, at 5 feet 100 pounds, a Humboldt ain't even that big now. What makes the satanic cephalopod such a menace is they can hunt in packs of not tens, not hundreds, but up to and over 1,000. Yeah, that's 3 zeros like a Tony Snell stat line. They're called the Red Devil because they can rapidly flash the color red, and they use these flashes to communicate. It's like Morse code, but for crippling calamari. We don't know exactly how it works, but it's believed if a squid grabs something and suddenly starts pulsing red, it could be telling every squid in the area that it's free eats out here. By the way, most deep sea animals can't even see the color red. They really color coordinate with the worst side of the spectrum. Just imagine getting hunted by that. Diablo Rojo has a beak that can slice flesh, apparently crack bone, and we know they'll actively bring that smoke to humans. There's more than a couple stories of divers getting jumped by squid and nearly getting pulled into the abyss. There's also reports of them attempting to rip the masks off divers. Like, too many times for it to just be a coincidence. And see, the thing is, an orca's never offed a person in the wild, and a shark biting you is like me biting a wing and tasting cauliflower. It's an unfortunate occurrence, except the wing can't scream. There's no doubt in my mind, a pack of predatory squid would off a person. They're not even safe from themselves. They are highly cannibalistic. Like, it's a legit part of their diet. It's a different type of friendly fire. If they see a sick or injured member of their own shoal, they will eat it alive. Fun fact, if you're fishing and catch a Humboldt, you really catch 4. The one you got and the 3 others tearing it apart while you pull it up. They've also been known to destroy camera equipment and gear because aggression and violence is how they respond to the things they don't understand. Worst part is, you can get jumped by a squid, escape, and if you surface too fast, you can still end up part of the past. The ocean's so unserious. The more you know.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish
away from
you
squid.
never knew. Part 21. This photo shows an 8-month-old Zhao Bao who is lucky to be alive because his mother stabbed him 90 times after he bit her while she was breastfeeding him. The world's scariest haunted house, McCamey Manor, requires you to sign a 40-page waiver and undergo a physical and mental evaluation. If you manage to make it through the house, you could win $20,000. But to this day, no one has ever made it through.
Free money.
The little girl who boy Stucky in the Land Before Time was shot to death by her father, who then committed suicide. Roman Emperor Nero had a boy castrated, dressed him up as a bride, and married him, all because the boy looked similar to his previous dead wife. A 46-year-old man found and attacked a 13-year-old boy because the kid was killing him too many times in a game of Call of Duty.
How the hell did he even track him down? I'm telling you, bro, you gotta be careful even on the games nowadays, bro. People take things too seriously. They will hunt you down.
Scary videos from China. In the country, there are many secret prisons known as black jails. One day, a journalist was given the address of one of these, and this is what she found. The woman asks the reporter if she's here to save her, but the guards quickly lock the door. The woman in the video had been taken here off the record. This video shows a man on death row saying his final goodbyes. The man's name is Li Shiyan. He begs his mother not to cry. Li also bows down as a sign of respect, before being led away to meet his fate. This is a forgotten underground village. It's located in Gansu province. The people here have no food, water, or electricity. Some work in dangerous conditions in the local mine, earning just 30 cents per day. The people are very poor and neglected.
What makes Art the Clown so
30
terrifying is
cents?
that even he doesn't know how powerful
Nah.
he is. When the first Terrifier came out, Art was clearly just your average psychopath who likes to dress up as a clown. But when Terrifier 2 came out, that's when everything changed. Not only for, the plot or the world building, but specifically for Art. Director Damon Leone admitted in an interview that when Art came back to life in the beginning of the second movie, even he was surprised, which sets an entirely different tone for the movie. When the little girl came out of nowhere, when he kind of opened up a gate to hell, instead of being scared, the guy was laughing. Director Damon Leone admitted that he knows how this whole Terrifier saga is going to end, and everything was truly set in motion in Terrifier 2, which is when Leone really knew what he wanted to do with the character Art the Clown. Because every appearance of the clown prior to that wasn't necessarily half-baked, but even Leone admits that Art the Clown didn't necessarily come at him all at once, and it took him a while to truly figure out who that character was. However, with that said, I don't think we know exactly what Art the Clown is truly capable of. Admittedly, I have yet to see Terrifier 3, but from what I have seen online, this is far from the last time we will get to see this dude on screen. And given how Terrifier 2 ends, I imagine Art's true ending for this franchise is going to be one of the most historical events in horror movie history. God, I love these movies.
People who went missing and were found alive years later. In 2011, 2 fishermen from Kiribati were lost at sea for 33 days before they landed on the Marshall Islands, and when they arrived, locals took them to meet the only person on the island who spoke their language. Well, the fishermen then discovered that the only person who spoke the language was one of the fishermen's uncles who went missing 50 years earlier, who also got lost at sea. He was thought to be dead, but it turned out the uncle was perfectly fine and had a whole new life. Next, in 1997, a family in China had their young son abducted outside their home, and when an official search couldn't find their son, the father started his own search. So for the next 2 decades, he would travel all over China on motorbikes with flags of his son, and would hand out flyers everywhere. And 24 years after he spent all of his life savings, his son was finally found. Props to that father.
Friendly reminder, if you think the government won't, they absolutely
That's a blessing.
Remember that time the CIA tried to weaponize otters? It went a lot better than the dolphins. That's only because the otters didn't off themselves. Basically, otters are a lot smarter than they get credit for. They're part of the class of animals that can use tools, and they might have one up on dolphins in that department. Add the fact that they're the only mammal that can take the ocean without blubber, can be trained by humans, and it's basically a brainy, beachside honey badger with all the audacity, but seasoned with pretty privilege. Someone in the CIA saw this aggressive water war weasel and said, give him a fedora, he can do a lot for you. Let's make otter agents. Which led to the Otter Dossier. Also, apparently whatever they were doing had something to do with Project MKUltra. If you think they won. Anyway, here's some stuff you can find in the dossier. They found otters can open zippers and climb ladders. Seemed a little too excited about them being able to carry things and throw objects with their mouth. Otters can chew through a sink sheet.
I don't know how they found that.
At one point, they say they become devoted to humans, which can lead to their destruction. Whose destruction exactly? They made sure to mention that because they can dive up to 60 feet and can hold their breath longer than 5 minutes, they can enter and leave boats without being seen. There's also a do's and don'ts section, and at the very top of the list, they say, never take food from an otter or suffer severe mauling. Somewhere, the reason for that rule is sitting in a room with PTSD and missing fingers. There's also some cute stuff, like otters being ticklish and them using that to make them listen. There's also a blurb about taking care of babies, specifically their diarrhea. Once again, the cost of that knowledge was somebody's innocence. Anyways, pretty interesting. You should probably check it out on your own. But yeah, the CIA was definitely plotting something. And it involved weapons of utter destruction.
People will not weaponize anything, man. Even otters, bro. Hey, man. That just shows you, man, how crazy that world become, bro. That they're weaponizing freaking otters, bro. Never in a million years, but I ever thought something like that was possible. I gotta check out that dossier. YouTube, that's it for this video for you guys today. All I'm asking for is 10 likes. Follow me. All my social medias down below. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for the support. You guys gonna catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.